Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am Honorable Valencia Stovall, and we're here with another episode of Issues and Answers on WCEG Network. You are listening to the new WCEG Network, WCEGTalkRadio.com. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into community. The topics and opinions are those of the show hosts and guests and not of WCEG Network. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio and at WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support, and tell a friend and tell a neighbor to join us for the information sessions that we have every first and third Monday. We're back with more episodes, and our goal is to keep you informed. On today's show, on November the 15th, which is today's date, we're going to discuss affordable health care. We're also going to discuss upcoming runoff elections for November the 30th and our Say What segment, which is our surprising news that you probably heard about or you did not know about, and you probably didn't know what was really behind what you heard about. So before getting started, I did want to take a moment of remembrance for one of my favorite uncles, Harry Cater, who passed away last week. He was definitely a good cook and knew a lot about politics. You wouldn't think that just looking at him, but he knew a lot about politics. And anytime we had family gatherings, we would look forward to his macaroni and cheese and that fried chicken. He was the only person I know who could only add black pepper to season the chicken, and it tastes so good. I would miss laughing at his stories. And on a happier note, last week was my only daughter, Christy's birthday. So we wishing her a happy birthday, well, belated birthday now. And thank God for allowing me to be her mother and for her being my daughter. Also, with young people, they celebrate all month long. Well, I guess other people do too, but she celebrates all month long. So every day, the rest of this month is her birthday. All right, so let's get into the conversation. Healthcare is one of those subjects that will never go away. We're going to always need healthcare. And some people have healthcare that's provided on their jobs, while others don't have healthcare at all. And, it's always, when I was in the legislature, we talked about healthcare and expanding Medicaid, which the state did not do. But that expansion was, to be able to help those who normally could not afford it on their job to be able to have health care. And if you're self-employed, you're going to wrestle with finding health care that's affordable and of quality. So how many people are actually using the federal government exchange? So right now it's open enrollment on healthcare.gov. And today my special guest is Ms. Constance Brown, and she's with Affordable Health and Life Insurance Agency. And we welcome Ms. Constance Brown to WCEG Issues and Answers. I met Ms. Brown through my hairstylist, Champagne, who uses the Federal Exchange and have been doing it for years. And I remember many conversations that she and I had about healthcare and the whole exchange program. And she also said it was not only affordable, but had quality doctors as part of the network. And so, after years at that time, when we first had the conversation, I had insurance through the job. And then once I no longer had insurance through the job, I found myself in need of health insurance to be able to continue to care. So thank you and welcome, Constance, to the show. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Thank you for inviting me. And I have with you my business partner, Richard Gordon.
Okay.
And he will also be answering any questions that anyone might have along with me. Okay. I'm sorry for not getting with you earlier with that.
No problem.
First of all, I'd like to, again, thank you. And we're just going to go with a few pointers regarding the affordable health care. And first of all, the affordable health care started on November 1st, and it will run until January 15th of 2022. You must enroll in a health plan before December 15th in order to have health insurance effective January 1st. If you enroll after December 15th, then your insurance will not be effective until February 1st. So keep that in mind. Also, the Affordable Healthcare is a program that is designed to help individuals and their family get affordable insurance at a low cost. In order to apply, you must meet the income requirements based on your household size and your household income and family size. Also, like Valencia said, if you're self-employed, you can also get health insurance. A lot of beauty salons, barbershops, real estate agents, there's a lot of self-employed people out there that they're not aware that they're eligible for health insurance through the marketplace. So you are also eligible to apply for health insurance through the marketplace. And also, if your employer do not offer you health insurance, you can also receive health insurance through the marketplace. Okay, and then you can also possibility get a tax credit for that. Also, when you apply, you should have your when you meet with a broker, you should have your 2020 tax return or current pay stub in order to determine if you're eligible for a tax credit. The reason for that is because when you don't have that information, when you file your taxes at the end of the year, it might probably cause some problems where you might end up owing IRS, and you don't want to do that. So we want to have your income as close as possible when you apply for health insurance through the marketplace. So for example, if you tell us that your insurance is $20,000, and it's actually not an actual cost, it's an estimated cost, but we want it to be as close as possible. So for example, if you tell if your insurance is going to be about $20,000 for next year, 2022, when you file your taxes.
Did you mean your income? You said
what did I say? I'm sorry.
You
income.
Insurance.
Insurance. I'm sorry. If your income should be about $20,000 next year, when you file your taxes, you want your adjustable income to be around that same amount. Okay. And also, the marketplace now has added 11 health insurance carriers on the exchange this year, where before we only had 6. So this gives you more choices to choose from and more competitive prices. And that's about all I have right now, because I had a really busy day, Valencia. I mean, very, very busy. This came, I was rushing trying to do this. And I'm sorry, you guys, I wasn't quite totally prepared, but it's just been so busy, you know, with open enrollment coming up, and I'm just getting calls after calls after calls. But I always tell people, be sure to contact a broker, because a broker, we can give you more information. The 1-800 number is a good number to call, but they're representatives, so they're limited to the information that they can provide you. So try to contact a broker, which like myself and Richard Gordon, we are brokers, and we can get a little bit more, we can answer a little bit more questions and give you a little bit more information than you can get when you go to the 1-800 number, the 1-800-318-2596. That's the marketplace phone number. So, but like I said, they're very good there, but the brokers, we are able to give you more information than they can give you, okay?
Okay,
and,
so I have a question.
Okay, go right ahead.
So how long have you been connecting people with the healthcare.gov, that exchange?
I've been on the exchange, believe it or not, from how I'm talking, believe it or not, I've been there for 9 years.
Wow.
Day one, from day one. I've been with them from day one. Yes. I've been with the health insurance, Richard and I both. We've been with them for 9 years. There have been a lot of brokers that left us when, you know, because there was a lot of changes and things going on that people did not like. But Richard and I, we hung in there and we stayed, you know, stuck with the program, and it's serving us well. And we have our clients love us because they trust us. Our clients, that's one thing, they trust us. And something I learned about any business, not only just this insurance business, when you stick with one thing, people trust you. And I noticed that's what our clients are doing. They trust us because they know every year they have Constance or Richard, you know, to contact. And then also, like with my clients, like if you call me, I have you in my cell phone. So when your number pop up, I have your name. So I speak to you on a personal level. Yes. You know, so I'm like, oh, hi, Valencia, you know, I know it's you. And they like, my clients like that, you know. Yes. So I try to keep it personal, business, but a little personal with them. But yes, we've been with them for 9 years, day one. And also we had the opportunity to have President Obama on the line congratulating us. So that's how
wonderful.
with them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because at one point when he was president, it was Obamacare. And then,
now they call it the Trump care, Biden care.
We just want affordable health care. That's all we want. The main thing. Yeah. So between you and Richard, and welcome, Richard. Thank you for joining us here on the show.
Thank you.
Do you all still hear reluctancy with people about signing up, even though they may need the health insurance?
Yes, I do. There's still some confusion when it comes to the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid. There are a lot of clients that think that the Affordable Care Act is Medicaid. There are a lot of physicians that think the same thing. So there's still a lot of education that has to be done. We try to tell our clients that, no, the Affordable Care Act is individual health insurance offered by regular insurance companies. The only difference is people are entitled to a credit to help pay for the premiums. So that's the big difference.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, because you think of the government, so first thing you think of is Medicaid or Medicare. And especially if, and then there's a lot of talk that's been going on with some states. They have done Medicaid expansion. Like Georgia, unfortunately, we did not do Medicaid expansion. So, well, we could have possibly gotten a lot better coverages with what we're doing. But I think overall, and I thank Constance for her help in getting me on the exchange, because I call myself a little savvy, and I decided to go on there myself. And I got a headache, my eyes started crossing, and I was like, oh no, let me call Constance, because this is not my field of expertise. And Constance came in, went into the system, did everything. I was like, ooh, I don't know what I was thinking. I could go, and I had signed up for the wrong insurance. They were sending me a bill, and I was like, I hadn't even started getting the insurance. So thank you all for being experienced in that exchange environment and being able to really help your customers to be able to identify what their personal needs are when it comes down to healthcare. So Constance and Richard, please let the audience know how they may contact you all if they would like for you all to help them in navigating through that system.
All right. Well, they can contact me by calling 770-680-1969. Or they can email me at rgordo-medflash. It's RGORDO, M as in Mary, ED, F as in Frank, LASH @gmail.com. So just a little side note, it's long, but I couldn't get R. Gordon, so I had to shorten it. And then since it's medical, that's where the med comes from. And Flash Gordon was superhero. So that's how I came up with that email address.
Okay. And Constance, how may they get in touch with you?
Yes, they can call me at 404-545-5360. And my email address is Constance, CONSTANCE_Brown, like the color, BROWN, @bellsouth.net. Okay. And my office address is 118 North Avenue, Suite A, Jonesboro, Georgia, 30236. I'm right here downtown Jonesboro. If you're familiar with Jonesboro City Hall, yes. I'm next door to Jonesboro City Hall. I'm in the business complex, the brick business complex, right next door to City Hall. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. And for those who may not be able to travel, definitely a lot of work can be done over the phone. When I talked with Constance, we did everything, over the phone, and whatever else I need to send, or I went on the exchange and had whatever I need to do, she walked me through each step, which made it a lot easier. And so this is going on almost 6 months, I think now, since I've had the insurance, and was able to find a doctor. The medicine, everything, was affordable, and so I'm really liking it. At first, I had a lot of hesitancy and reluctancy, about it, because you hear so much in the news about the healthcare, the exchange, and it wasn't doing this, it wasn't doing that, which I know in the beginning, it took time to kind of work through it. And I'm glad to know that they're up to 11 providers now, insurance providers that are now on the exchange.
For the state of Georgia.
Yeah, for the state of Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what difference would it have made had Georgia did Medicaid expansion? How would that have affected those who would be in the healthcare exchange?
Well, what would have happened is a lot more people would have qualified, because what happens is, if you're a single person and you're making less than $13,000 a year, you can't get a tax credit on the exchange.
Mm.
So if they would have expanded Medicaid, people that made less than that would have been able to qualify for Medicaid. Right now, the only people that can qualify for Medicaid are women that are expecting babies. If you're a single woman, with no dependents, or a single man with no dependents, and you don't make enough to qualify, you're still out there without insurance.
Yeah, and that was the huge debate. And I know the governor had came up with a healthcare waiver program. I was in on a lot of those meetings when I was a state representative. And I think some of those had ended up putting in a work requirement. And so I'm always of the notion that if you put in any work requirements, you got to make sure that you have the work available and the training available, and making it easy accessible to those individuals. And then you also have to take into account people that might have some type of debilitating disease or something that they might not have been able to get. What is it with the SSA? Yeah,
Social Security disability income.
Yeah, they might not have been able to qualify for that, but that does not mean they still don't have a disability. And
Correct.
So when you put those requirements in, you have to think, all over, what can fit everybody's what they need. But in the end, and now with COVID, have you all seen a lot more people signing up for the healthcare exchange because of COVID, and what the potential after effects on the health of those who have suffered from COVID?
Absolutely. Basically, what we've seen is a lot of people found out that because of COVID and they lost their job, they also lost their health insurance.
Mm.
So if they would have had an Affordable Care Act plan, even though they lost their job, as long as they still could have paid their premium, they would have been able to keep their insurance. The other thing is, because of COVID, people now are a whole lot more serious about getting health insurance than what they were in the past.
Absolutely.
So it's worked out well for that person who really didn't understand how important having health insurance is.
Okay.
That's true. That's very true.
So when they call you all, what would they need to have in their hands when they call you all about getting insurance?
Well, they'll need to have in the hands, they'll need to have the social security numbers for each individual. And also they'll need to have their 2020 tax return or a recent pay stub. And if you're self-employed and you don't have any of that information, you can write a letter to the marketplace just stating that you're self-employed and what your expected income will be for that year, and sign it and date it and send it on to the marketplace, and they will accept the letter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you're self-employed, they'll accept that letter, yes, which is good.
Yeah, that's good, because in the past, self-employed people had the hardest time with getting just about anything, especially services like this with the health insurance, because everybody in America was so stretched on, W-2, you have W-2, you have W-2. And so we saw a lot that happened with with COVID that caused people that are self-employed to kind of be on the be in the spotlight a lot more, especially what happened with the unemployment insurance, because you self-employed, you never did pay into the unemployment insurance for the state. But then when COVID hit, a lot of businesses could not function and continue on. So the federal government had to come up with another program on being able to get the self-employed, their unemployment, so some type of unemployment assistance as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad to know that they have allowed, the self-employed to be able to write a letter.
And Valencia, we have quite a few self-employed people. A lot of them are applying for health insurance, which is really good. Like you said, you're glad to know that, but I just want to address it, let you know that we do have quite a few people that are self-employed that are applying now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there was a question that came in, was asking why didn't Georgia expand Medicaid? And one of the arguments I heard for the time I was down there was that it was going to bankrupt the state. And my counter argument to that was that if you don't do it, that's going to bankrupt the state. Because what was happening, the people were going to the emergency room, and by federal law, you go to the emergency room, they have to see you. And so people were now using the emergency room as their primary care physician. So they would go in knowing they're going to get service, then have the money to pay. So the state budget started increasing when it came to uncompensated care, because the state had to pick up a portion of that amount. Whereas had we went ahead and joined the Medicaid exchange from the very beginning, when the first 3 years, we were going to start off with the federal government was going to cover, so start at, I think, 90%, it was going to go to—
actually 100%.
100%, yeah. Then 80, then I think it went down to 70, then it was going to keep decreasing where the state would have to put in more as the years increase. But initially it was 100. You just think about it. And I told them, my argument was, if we took it in that first year, everybody that was on that borderline that was in need of expanding Medicaid, we could have spent that additional money getting them trained into training programs. They would have finished, been able to get viable employment, because now they're able to go to work because they have health insurance. And then we would have seen possibly some of those people dropping off the exchange because some of them might have been making enough with their employer that they now can get insurance with their employer. And even if they didn't, still the amount of money, to me, in the long run, when you look at people, would have been worth it for us to go ahead and get it when it first came out with those first 3 years than what we are now. So that was the reason that we did not expand Medicaid in the state of Georgia.
And one of the other things, Valencia, that we've seen, and that's one of the reasons why there are so many more companies coming into the exchange now, is that in the first 3 years, for people who didn't have health insurance, they were able to get health insurance, get some of their medical conditions handled, and now it's more a maintenance thing 9 years in. So these new companies are looking at and saying, okay, we can come into the marketplace now because people aren't as sick as they were 9 years ago. And so there's a much healthier population that they're actually looking at now. And that's why we have the expansion of the companies in the state.
That's good to hear, because I know, like you said in the beginning, it wasn't a lot. And that was one of the arguments that was used as well. Say, okay, if we expand it, what type of companies are in the exchange? Are they quality companies? Are, the doctors going to be able to see? And then what also started happening across the state, some doctors stopped taking Medicaid because of the percentage that they would get back as a reimbursement. So in those rural areas, they really were suffering a lot with hospitals closing down, not being able to get quality doctors, or them having to drive hours to get some type of quality care. So like I said, in the end, it would have been good for Georgia to have went ahead and expanded Medicaid, because when you look at it, people can't go to work if they're sick. Children can't go to school if they're sick. If their parents sick, they're not going to get them up out the bed to send them. So if they're not working, that means the employers can't produce their products or services. So it kind of goes around. It's like a rotating circle that goes like this, when you don't do one thing. And so I appreciate you all for what you're doing with getting people signed up And that was one of the reasons we had the show. And I wanted, and when Constance told me, oh, you know, open enrollment is coming up, I said, oh, let me have you on the show. So and y'all already did my open enrollment. We finished that last week. So I'm already in the system to continue on with my health insurance. And so I definitely encourage you all to make sure you reach out. Richard and Constance, will you please get them your phone number again so that they can be able to contact you all?
All right, my phone number is 770-680-1969.
And my phone number is 404-545-5360.
All right. Was there anything else that that you all would like to share when it comes down to how? Oh, another question. How soon after they enroll into the exchange and make their payment will their insurance become effective?
Effective January, it will be effective January 1st. Like I mentioned earlier, if you enroll before December 15th, then your insurance will be effective January 1st. If you enroll after December 15th, your effective date will be February 1st.
Okay. So you all heard that there are 2 key days. If you want your insurance to start in January, you need to sign up by December. Is that the 15th?
Just December 15th, yes, Valencia.
Right. And then if you can wait till February, I wouldn't advise it, but if you can wait to February, then you need to sign up by January. Is it January 15th?
You have to sign up by January 15th and you'll have a February 1st effective date.
Right. Okay. All right. And what would you say the range is, just kind of giving people an idea, the range of what the monthly amounts is? I know it's depending on their income, but do some people have zero amount that they pay a month, or is it $5, maybe 10, and it goes up from there?
Like you said, Valencia, it's really hard. It's very hard to determine because it's based on the household size and the income. So, but there are people out there that have insurance that's paid 0 monthly payments, and it just varies. It can be $10, $20, $50, $100. It just depends, like I said, on the income. For example, like if you have a person, this is just an example. For a person, person with a yearly income of $13,000, they can pay anywhere from $0 to $50 a month. You know, so it just depends on the income and the household size. But it's really hard to determine, to tell a person, well, this is what the figure will be for that particular person, because it varies.
I'd like to add something, Valencia.
Go ahead.
I'm seeing these signs out about, 0 premium plans. Now, people have to remember that the Affordable Care Act is broken up into metal tiers. Bronze, silver, gold. And so I can put just about anybody, regardless of their income sometimes, in a bronze plan that's 0 premium. But the problem with that is that they're going to have to pay a large deductible before the plan starts to pay anything. So, you could end up with a bronze plan that's a 0 premium monthly plan, but you got a $6,000 deductible that you have to pay before the health plan starts to pay anything. So if you go to the primary care doctor in a bronze plan and the bill's $500, guess what? You pay $500. What we try to do for our clients is that just about anybody that qualifies for a tax credit is going to be qualified for reduced deductibles as well as reduced co-payments. So, a person could be spending maybe $15 or $20 for a monthly premium, and their co-payment to go to the primary care doctor might be $0 or $5, or going to a specialist, it might be $10 or $15. And then, you also have to keep in mind that some of the costs of the medication. So those are all the things we do as an agent that you won't get done when you call the 800 number. And that's kind of what Constance was referring to when she talked about you'd be able to get more information from an agent broker than you can from calling the 800 number.
Okay, and that's some good information. Yes. I know that when the under the American Rescue Plan, many people who have their own health insurance directly through the marketplace was able to be eligible to receive increased tax credits, which reduced their premiums. And I know that that might not continue on, but we did see some people, like, I know, like myself, we saw a reduction in those monthly premiums. But I know that the depends on what Congress does up in Washington, D.C. as to whether they will continue something similar to that, you know, until we get all the way out of the coronavirus, this whole epidemic. So I did want to mention that did cause a decrease in some of the premiums with the American Rescue Plan.
Yes, it did. Mm-hmm.
All right. So thank you all so very much. And I know, Constance, you and I had a separate conversation that didn't have anything directly to do with healthcare. But it dealt with our young African-American males who are actually adults. And I know that's something, just us having a conversation, it was something that always was heavy on my heart. You know, I have a son that's 30 years old, and it's always a struggle to try to keep them out of as much trouble as possible, you know, because of everything that they're faced on a daily basis as just being young Black men in America. But many times, a lot of young men want to be independent, but because of certain obstacles, sometimes we know it makes it challenging for them. And I'm referring to those young adults who are not troublemakers. We're not talking about those who are in and out of prison or might have been in and out of juvenile as young, but those that just say, I want to be independent, but I don't have all the tools that I need to make sure that I'm able to function independently. And, you know, and Constance was asking me that I know in a program, and I really couldn't think of a program, and it could be some young men who don't have kids, you know, that have not become fathers. And we know they have programs for fathers that are single parents. But then sometimes they need those who don't have kids, but have reached the adult age, need some help as well. And so, Constance, I'm gonna stop and kind of let you kind of chime in on that and what we kind of talked about and whatever you want to share on that particular subject.
Yes, what I brought to Valencia, I have a nephew, and him and his girlfriend, they've been together for about 15 years. And when they broke up, you know, he had to leave, and he went back home to his family, my sister-in-law and him, but it was a bunch of girls there, so it did not work out. So he left, and so he was driving Uber, and well, he had a good job, and then some, you know, he got laid off because of whatever reason, but it wasn't, well, I would say he got laid off. But what happened then, he was driving Uber, and so his car went bad on him. So when he was driving Uber, he had a little money to get to pay for a hotel. But then when his car went bad on him, he couldn't drive Uber anymore. He didn't have any money coming in. So he was sleeping in his car. He could not afford to pay for his car note. So, and then it got repo, but he couldn't turn the car in because he needed his car to have a place to sleep. And so I was sharing with Valencia, we have to start a program for these young men, just like the women with children. You know, if they're a woman with children, they find a place for them, give them a voucher for them to live for about a year or two and get themselves together. We need something like that for our men. We need a program for our men to, when they go out into the world, give them a voucher, even if it's like for a year or two, to help them get out there in the world and find themselves and so they can be productive and feel worthy. You know, that's why we have all this crime today, because these men, they don't feel worthy. They just out there, just existing, you know. And I think if we have some type of voucher program for these men, when they get out, when they come into the world, get them, find a job, have even a 12-step program, something, get them a job, but let them be able to move into their own apartment. Because we have so many men living with women that they don't want to be with, which cause domestic violence. And, you know, so they don't want to be there. So you live with somebody you don't want to be with, but you're there. And then it causes a lot of problems. So the only thing I'm just saying, and what I share with Valencia, and it's like I said, it's really hard. It takes, you know, this is something that really on my heart, you know. And I just think that there needs to be something out there for our men, because you look on the streets, if you go anywhere, I'm from San Francisco, and I travel quite a bit. Any inner city, big cities you go to, the majority of the people that you see homeless on the street are Black men. Why? Why? You don't see Chinese, you don't see Vietnamese, you don't see Mexicans, you don't see anybody. You see Black men homeless on the street, no matter where you go. And that hurts me to my heart because I have 2 sons. I have one son that I'm helping out. If something happened to me today, he'll be out there homeless. He'll be one of those children out there homeless. That's why it hurts when I see these young Black men walking these streets with the pants down and all. The reason why they're doing that because nobody cares and they don't care. You know, it's not that he came into this world like that. Somewhere down the line, something went wrong.
Yeah.
And we have to find out what went wrong with these young men so we can get them straight and back and, you know, to feel good about themselves. Because they did feel good about themselves at one time in their life. Yeah. Let's get them back there again. And they're, you know, we as a people, our Black race, we're the problem. We're not doing anything for our own people. And like I said, we have all these other races. You go to any inner city and you will find out all you see. And like I say, I travel and I see it. All you see are Black men homeless. You see a few of the other races, but you might see 1 or 2 here over there. But majority of the race is Black. And why, Valencia? Yeah. You know, and that, you know, that brings back that whole talk that we keep hearing about systemic racism, and it's alive and well, and it's here. And you know, some people say, well, you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but first of all, you got to have boots, and then you got to know how to tie the straps up, and then what to do after you pull them up. And so some people are fortunate to have mentors and other people that are in their lives to be able to help guide them. But then you have a other segment of young men who don't have that, and they're out there fending for themselves, trying to make things happen. And then when you start looking at the education system, like I'm going to be a guest on a panel on this week, talking about redlining, what happened with school districts, how back in Lyndon Johnson's time, when they got ready to draw the lines for maps of where Blacks were going to live and migrate, most of the underperforming schools are in the Black communities. Correct. And why is that? Why we don't have any high performing schools in any of those Black communities? Mm-hmm. And if you do, it's very rare. It's not more high performing than it is non-performing. And when you talk about the resources that go to those schools, there's a difference in the resources. There's also a difference in the type of teachers that decide to go and teach in those communities. And it's a whole cycle that goes on that happens. And so I just wanted to, and we'll come back and probably do another show about it. But I just wanted to kind of bring it up. And if there's anyone in the listening audience that, have a program such as that, or are kind of the same mind frame as Constance and I are, and you want to be able to get together and say, well, hey, let's figure out what we can do. We can start small. And we know that there's, funding that's out there. There's funding for everything out there. You just have to know where to get it and what the words are that need to be said for that. But like you said, we as a Black community can help our own. We have so many, people that are doing well financially in our Black community, and it's time for us to start figuring out how can we help our own as much as what we can, and then also putting the requirements on all the other races as well, as far as helping to support our communities. Because if we're here, we're all supposed to be rising up together, and not one being always higher than the other. And that's a whole nother conversation by itself. Let me share this with you. The problem is with our Black community, you said, we have some of us that are doing well, but what we fail to do, the ones that are doing well, okay, I made it, now you have to make it. What we don't do, and I saw this with other races, they share the wealth. Mm-hmm. They share the wealth. That's why we don't see them in the position that we're in, because they share their wealth. We just I got mine, I'm taking care of my family, so you take care of yours. The other races don't do that. They share their wealth. They protect their own people. We don't protect our people. We just talk about them. We talk about our people badly, about our people, as well as other races talk about us. That's sad. We talk about our own people like the other people talk about us. Yeah, instead of doing something about it. And all we have to do, Valencia, is share the wealth. Yeah, spend the money in our community. They spend money in their own communities, then they spend it outside. So And if you notice something in the Black community, how often do you see a Japanese, a Vietnamese, a white person, anybody going into our restaurants?
It's not very often.
But we patronize all of their businesses.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. We don't share the wealth. We take our wealth and put it somewhere else.
Right.
If we start sharing our wealth, then we can do better for our community. And another thing, I have a problem with our churches, and God forgive me, but it's just the way it is. We have all these churches around here, and not one of them, they like, every last church I see, we're giving out food. We're giving out food, that's free. They got a food bank, the government pays for that. You know, that's free money. But all this money we're giving to our churches, what are they doing with it? These churches, I shared this with several people, they should start a program where these churches, they want us to give 10% to the church. The church get 10% back to the community. And we have a board of directors and a nonprofit organization to make sure this money is going into the community, to our people. And better that would help our young Black men.
Yeah.
The women out there, you know, this would help our people. Our problem is we do not share our wealth. That's the main issue. We don't share our wealth.
Yeah.
But everybody else does.
Yeah. So, and we're, like you said, we're consumers, and you made a good point, because with our churches, they're the only entity that has direct connection with African American, with Blacks in this country. No other entity has direct access, to it. So, but that's going to be another conversation. We're going to have to come back and kind of discuss that. How do we share the wealth? What are some of the steps, the first things that we can start doing, especially looking at trying to help our young African American men who want to be helped. When I talk about the ones who don't want to help, when you have people that don't want help, you leave them alone, and you and God will take care of that part. But those who want to help, that wants to help and want to do better, but just need the opportunity, those are the ones, that I'm concerned about and want to see them to do better. So, Constance, I'm going to have to stop it right there. I have some announcements I'm going to need to make before I end the show. But thank you, and Richard, for joining us, and definitely be on the lookout for us to continue this conversation again about our African-American males. So everyone remember, first deadline, December the 15th. If you want your insurance to start January the 1st. Second deadline is January the 15th to start February. So you all don't wait. Go ahead and get your information in. Constance and Richie have left their information. And I'll definitely, if you didn't catch it, you can always email me at contact@ghoststovall.com. Thank you, Constance and Richard. You all have a good evening. And thank you again for joining us on Issues and Answers on WCEG Network.
Thank you.
All right, you all, the runoffs are coming up. So there are several races that head into the runoff that's going to be held on November the 30th. And there are some various early voting dates. So some early voting is starting this week. So like I always tell you, check your local elections office to see where your early vote locations are, and also check to make sure that you are registered to vote. And you go to mvp.sos.ga.gov. It's mvp.sos.ga.gov, or you can Google my voter page, and you put your information in. So, of course, in the city of Forest Park, Tommy Smith is in the runoff, who's a former city council member. He was also a previous guest on our show, and looking toward having positive efforts and or completing projects as well. As citizens in Forest Park, which is the largest city in Clayton County, I want you all to just do an evaluation yourself. Look around your community when you ride up and down Forest Parkway, Old Dixie, Jonesboro Road, all those streets that connect coming into the city of Forest Park, and all the other adjacent streets. You look and see for the last 4 years, what kind of improvement have you seen? I don't have to tell you, you can look for it yourself. I told you I live in Forest Park. And so I have a very vested interest in this race that's coming up. And as far as having someone we know is going to unify, someone that can be able to go in and negotiate the best deals for our community, being able to talk with the business owners. We used to have a business owners, business collaboration organization. I don't even know what happened to that. How are you going to grow a business, grow a city, and you don't even hear from the business owners? It's no more. I haven't heard in the round table. I used to go very often just to see what was going on. Let me tell y'all something. This race in Forest Park, some people have been trying to make it a racial issue. It's not about Black against white. It's not about any political party, even though our mayor and city council races are nonpartisan. It's about the people. We want who's going to best be serving the people in Forest Park. It's about who's going to put in the hard work and the long hours that's going to be needed in order to transform our city. And it takes all of us. You want someone who is going to ask for your opinion, and also, and then take it into account and bring you to the table so you can have a voice to say, not just thinking because they're the mayor and this is how it's going to be. We don't live in a dictatorship in Georgia, in the United States. Everyone has to work together. So we need someone that's going to reverse the downward turn that we've seen for the past 4 years in our city. And so, speaking with Tommy Smith, he's already agreed to have an advisory council once he's elected to see and hear from everybody. Forest Park is the most diverse city in Clayton County, which means we have all races. And so everybody has different needs that they need, but we need to be able to come together so we can be unified as a community, not separated and divided like what has happened. Of course, in Atlanta, there's some hot runoff races in Atlanta. You know, of course, the mayor, there's runoff, and then City Council District 1, where my dad actually lives. He's actually supporting Jason Winston, who's in the runoff for District 1 City Council. So if you all live in District 1, definitely join Valencia Stovall and vote. And I live in Clayton, so I can't vote. Thing I can do is encourage you all to vote. Also in the citywide Atlanta school board race, Casey Venning is also in the runoff. Hers is seat 7 at large. So if you live in the city of Atlanta, you're a registered voter, you can definitely support Casey Venning in that runoff election. Now, announcements, and we don't have that much more time left. But now I've told you all before, I'm a part of the Life on Fire Academy, which is a coaching and spiritual program. So be on the lookout for some expansion of things that God is going to do with those given gifts that he's given me to do. And I always have to say my affirmation is I'm an authentic, brilliant-minded, loyal leader. The Georgia Single Parent Coalition was held. We had our meeting on last Saturday before last. And I did want to say we started the process of nominating, the nomination process. So if you know of a single parent who's doing a great, outstanding work with raising their child or children, male or female, then nominate them for our March, for our 2022 Legacy Builders Award. And it'll be held in March. You know, Single Parent Day is recognized in Georgia on March the 21st of every year. So go to nationallg.org, national L like Larry, G like God.org to make your nomination for Single Parents Day, for recognizing single parents. Also, I was nominated by the Black Child Development Institute Atlanta as an Influencer Award. And it's a part of their Community Leadership Award to be awarded at their gala that they're going to hold on December the 4th. And I humbly accepted this award. I've been a presenter twice with this organization talking about education. Y'all know I'm passionate about education. And not even being an elected official, but know that people are still watching the work that I have been doing and continue to do, because this is something in my heart. I want to see our community better. So thank you, Black Child Development Institute, the Atlanta branch. In a couple of days, like I mentioned earlier, when Constance was on, I will be a speaker at the Excel in Ed National Summit on Education in Orlando, Florida. It's a great honor to be a part of the organization. I will be on stage with the author of A Fine Line, How Most American Kids Are Kept Out of the Public Schools. And you all should check that book out. It's by Tim LaRoche, Leroche. And I actually am featured in his book for my legislation of House Bill 788 that I introduced when I was a legislator, asking for open enrollment, where parents can be able to have their child attend any school that they want them to attend, despite where they live and they're not in a particular zone. So parents should have that right. We talked about lack of resources in certain communities in our African-American communities, where in other communities they're not lack of resources. So why we can't let our children go wherever they might want to go, wherever we want to be able to take them to? Because at the end of the day, they all are going to age out of the system at 18, and they become a part of society, no longer a part of the school system. And we're all going to be responsible. We're going to pay for it one way or the other. So why not pay for it in a good way rather than in a negative way? All right. Also, now we're into our section of Say What. So I came up with this Say What section as a part of saying those that surprising news that you didn't even know was going on, or you might have known about it, but you might not know what was the background behind why it was going on like it was. But okay, the Georgia General Assembly is reconvening now. The first major order of business was voting on the redistricting maps, which will affect elections for the next 10 years. So let's just say the 2022 elections will be very interesting, y'all. They've already voted on the House maps. I think they voted on the Senate maps. They might have done it Friday or this week, and then they're gonna start working on the congressional maps as far as how that's supposed to be. And so all this ruckus has been about the Democrats telling the Republicans, oh, you're not drawing the maps favorably, you're doing a more favor towards you. And because you're in the majority, and then the Republicans saying, well, Democrats, when you all were in power, you did the same thing. So both of them, are doing it to their own advantage. I say, allow the independents to be able to be a part of the election process in the state of Georgia, where we should not have to go and gather signatures just to be on a ballot. We should have the same right and ability, just like Republicans and Democrats, to be able to run for office if that's what we choose to do. So let's talk about that as a good conversation. Say what? Yes, let's say what about that. And so then that way you don't have to argue between who's in charge, because you have the Democrats saying, well, because of Georgia, Joe Biden is the president, so Georgia is blue. The Republicans saying, no, it's not. It's not because of that. And I say the independents is the one that helped Joe Biden get into office in Washington, D.C., because it's not enough red and not enough blue. You have to have the independents to mix in with those votes. So you all going to see that even more for the midterm elections coming up next year. So since you all need independent votes, allow us to be able to be on the ballot the same way that Democrats and Republicans are able to qualify to be on the ballots. All right, so now another Say What, dealing with those maps. There was a Gwinnett County senator who introduced 2 bills to alter the local school board districts and expand the number of county commissioners in Gwinnett from 5 to 10. Also, the current chairperson of Gwinnett County has the power to be able to vote along with her other fellow commissioners. Well, this new bill will now take her power away from her to vote, that she only can break a tie, do a veto. Well, that's not right. Why would you take her power away from her? So all that stuff in politics is playing around. So y'all be on the lookout. You're going to hear some more about it. Now, the kicker was, normally the process is, if you're going to introduce what's called local legislation, you usually let your delegation know, and usually the delegation have to vote a certain percentage, which is in the rules of the House and on the Senate side. I don't know if that was followed or not, because you have a lot of the Democratic legislators saying they didn't know anything about it, that was going on, the way he planned on doing. So y'all just keep watching that. All right, voter suppression, like I told y'all before, can't just be white led, but it's been black led too. I'm gonna tell y'all again about Forest Park city elections, having no paper ballots. I went to the reading of the election results that night, and the clerk who was handling the elections asked were there any questions. And so you all know I raised my hand. I said, why in the world do we have paper ballots? And we're in 2021. And she said that was her decision. And she said that there was not enough time for training for her staff, and that the county didn't want to help. Now, I don't know about all of that, about having enough time for training, because the state gives training. They could have got training from the county to be able to use the machines. Because remember, we use the machines to put our ballots in the scanner. That's electronic. All the other machines, the only thing the people had to do was touch it and a little other things, but it wasn't that difficult. That's what I'm trying to say. Well, she said it was her decision. So I want to know, was it a wrong decision based on her limited knowledge of the voting machines and their importance? And by the way, I want to let y'all know the county, Clayton County did conduct elections for Morrow, which is right next door, well, a little bit down the street from Forest Park. So the county did do some elections on November the 2nd election, November the 2nd elections. So my question is, why didn't the mayor and city council of Forest Park vote to override her decision? Say what? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, that leadership, y'all. Well, time has caught us. But we will be back for our next show on Monday, December the 6th at 4 p.m. Who knows what that topic is going to be? It's so much that's going on that we try to keep you abreast. But I did want to say a thank you to the young lady I met at the Young Business Entrepreneurs event. I don't know if you all can see this, but I ordered an orange, because I love orange, coaster. And she made the coaster, and it was personalized with my name on it. And so the name of the company, if y'all go on her Instagram, and it was only $5, so you can order your own. You know, everybody like to have customized product, and it's CS Cups and Coasters. CS Cups and Coasters. So you all, and if you didn't get it, then you can always send me an email, contact at Stovall, or either hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, and I will share her contact information. You know, we have to support our young people, especially some ones that have decided to be entrepreneurs at such a young age. And so I'm using my coasters now. I want to share it with you all so that you may want to get you some coasters. She also does, I think, keychains. Just contact her to see what else she can do. Wouldn't that be nice if you had, somebody's retiring, or you have a wedding, or for Christmas gifts, you want something inexpensive but customizable? They know you didn't just run to the store to get this coaster, or she also has tumblers. So they know you didn't just run to go to the store to get that. You had to actually take the time to purchase it. So thank you all so very much for joining us for this segment of Issues and Answers. And like I said, we'll be back. Our last show for 2021 will be December the 6th at 4 p.m. And we always welcome any show ideas that you may have so that we can make sure we keep you informed. So today's show, of course, we talked about healthcare. We talked about the plight of what's going on with our young African-American males and how we need to support them. And of course, I gave my announcements and the say what, so you all could be looking out for what's going to be next. So you all enjoy yourself, be safe, enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday. Don't eat too much turkey, but save enough for the next time. And we'll see you all back again on December the 6th. Good afternoon.